What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolia sitting on the couch making some money investing in fractional real estate online, as usual. Today, it's late Friday. I'm doing my 52-week challenge video. Probably by the time this gets uploaded, it's actually going to be Saturday, so sorry I'm late. I just had that weird long rant yesterday that I recorded instead of doing this like I usually do late Thursday nights. But anyway, going to talk about everything I bought this week in the fractional real estate space. Also going to just add a little bit of color around like what my strategy is on some of these platforms because um, I think just talking about what I'm buying is giving a couple of people a sort of wrong impression about maybe where I think my dollar should be going. Anyway, going to get into that. Before I do, please like and subscribe. In the description to this video, you'll see links to all the places where I currently invest in fractional real estate online. Do your own due diligence on those platforms. Just because I invest in one of them doesn't mean that you should. Same thing with any of the properties that I talk about that I bought. Just because I bought it doesn't mean that you should buy it. You want to really dig into it, understand what you're getting, understand what you're not getting sometimes. Um, which might be title to the property, right? Maybe you're not getting that. But whatever it is, you want to just figure that out on your own. I'm just trying to share what I'm doing. This is the experience that I have, the way I'm looking at things, but definitely don't want to be telling you what to do with your dollars. Anyway, with that out of the way, um, first things, I bought this property. You've seen me buy it several times. Added tokens for 5401 Odom Avenue. This is the vacant property. We've had no cash flow for I think somebody might have said 2 years now for this one. I haven't been in it nearly that long, but I have owned it for almost a year now, so no cash flow that whole time. Um, I'm just buying this purely on the basis it's in Fort Worth, Texas. It hasn't had no income at that time. It just hasn't paid out any, right? It was used as a midterm rental for part of the time, but it just had no cash flow. Like it was bringing in not, barely enough to cover the taxes. And then, coming up, we won't have enough to cover the taxes, I don't think, when those come up. I'm pretty sure we owe some money to the manager at the moment. Um, why am I buying it? Right now, there's $20 tokens. I think there's a vote out to change it to a pad split. I don't think it's a very good idea. I mean, I think we need to do something with the property. I think a pad split's probably the best we can do with that at the moment until we get it sold, right? I think selling it is the only real option. If you look at the yields that we get as a pad split, as is, I mean, I think we're getting like a 3% yield if everything works out the way as projected. Um, if we get up to the 8 bedrooms by doing some additional work, probably putting some money in to do that, the yield is still, I think it gets up to like 7.5%. I don't remember exactly, but it's still very low, right? So even if we get it to 8 bedrooms, it's not a particularly great investment. Um, if we and that yield is actually it's actually lower than that if you're looking at it at $50. It's much higher than that if you're looking at it at $20. What I was calculating the yield on is comparing it to if we just dropped the price down all the way to 450 and sold it today at that amount, comparing the yield to our net cash that we'd have there. I think that's our best move. I think we just need to keep discounting it until it actually sells. Um, if you're buying at 20, you're going to make it should make a great return. If we do sell it at 450, you'll probably make $36 will be your net, your net from the sale, somewhere around there. Maybe it's a little less, maybe it's a little bit more, but based on the current token price, you do amazing with that. Based on where I bought it at, I'd be very happy with it. What is not going to be great is if we just keep holding it, hoping to get some higher price and getting a very meager return in the meantime. That's my big worry, that we just like hold this with really suboptimal returns for a long time when we could, take that cash, whatever we could actually cash out for, move it into a property that's doing better. So that's my position there. I did buy a little bit more. Um, this is, so I bought some of this on Lofty, and I'm going to talk about the next property. But I'm not putting, just I want to make sure it's really clear, I'm not putting any new money to work on Lofty. And in fact, a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago now, I actually took a little bit of cash off. Um, all I'm doing is I'm reinvesting the rents that I get on there, and I'm reinvesting if I sell something or if I unstake some USDC or something, I'm putting that to work. So I'm just playing around with what's on there. And so I think that surprised a couple people when I mentioned that, because there are some really deep discounts on properties. And I've gone back and forth on, do I want to put more capital on? Do I want to buy some of those deals? Or do I just want to be done with Lofty altogether? If you've watched a lot of my recent videos, I just don't like the way they run things. I'm very like, it doesn't seem like they care if the investors make money or not, right? That doesn't ever seem to come into their decision making process whatsoever. They're like, we're going to just create this system and we'll let the investors figure it out. Either they make money or they won't on their own. I mean, uh, Jerry, the founder of Lofty, jumped in the Discord, answered a bunch of questions, as he does. Like it's kind of interesting because to some extent he seems to care about customers. He does come and talk to us quite a bit. Obviously, he realizes it's where he makes money, but it doesn't seem to matter to him whatsoever whether or not the investments on his platform are good investments. Um, Maybe it does, but his actions don't play that out. And then also too, when people do have complaints, just the way he reacts to them just drives me crazy. Like he's more worried about explaining why they did what they did than saying, "Hey, we did this. It was wrong. It'll never happen again. These are the things we put into place to make that." He doesn't. So I'm always just really frustrated with the way they handle complaints or criticism or anything like that. It always just seems like they're much more concerned with explaining why they did it the way they did versus just taking the blame for a bad situation, explaining how we're going to make sure that it doesn't happen again, all those sorts of things. And so it makes it really hard for me to want to put more money to work on the platform. That being said, there's just some really huge discounts. And so I've been really going back and forth lately trying to decide because one, and I've talked about this before, I really need to put a lot more money to work if I'm going to get a good return on my time because lofty investing takes a lot of time, right? And so you don't make a ton of money or, relative to how much time you spend searching for discounted tokens if you're only buying a few at a time. But then as you start to buy more, the slippage sort of ruins some of the deals. That's why I hadn't been putting a lot more money in earlier. That and I'm really trying to feel it out and, take a very prudent approach to adding money to all the platforms slowly. Um, but yeah, I mean, when there's just really deep discounts, it makes me want to just stick a bunch on and buy some. But I think like even when I've done that before with Odom, it doesn't take a whole lot to move the needle, create a bunch of slippage, and change the price. At this price, I'd really like to do it. So I don't know. I really go back and forth on it. It's tough to want to like they just make it the product, the idea of the product is fantastic. The potential deals right now because of how poorly the product is executed. That I mean, that's where this deal comes from, right? This is a property that makes absolutely no sense as an investment property. So investors have never been happy with the yield, and so they've dumped tokens to the point where if we ever get to sell this in real life, we'll make a nice profit. But because of the way governance works, it's even difficult to make those. I think we've been trying to sell this now for months. I think we've now entered into sort of a rough market with it. I think that if we had just like executed quickly when it first came up, the market was much different at that point in time. Maybe we wouldn't have sold it, but at least by now we'd be priced at a way that it would be selling sooner, right? So anyway, that's why I go back and forth. I know if you watch my channel a lot, you've seen me waffle on this, right? A whole bunch because it is, there's the deals are in the discounts, right? There's just these like really, well, like I always say, like, yield is temporary, basis is forever, right? If I can buy this at a fraction of what it's worth, I should be able to make money no matter what, regardless of how much it's, the platform and the system and the other investors want to make it difficult to actually just make money off of it, right? And not this particular property. Well, I mean, a little bit this one, but just in general on the play, it's just there's so many there's a reason that the vast majority of tokens are all at a discount, and it's not because if the platform worked the way it was intended and the properties were actually decent properties for investors, over time over the 3 or 4 years they've been around, you would have seen those prices slowly move up on every single one, and instead on average they've gone down a significant percent, right? 34% or something like that. Um, anyway, you've heard me talk about that plenty. I just wanted to make sure it's clear, even though I bought this property and some of this one, it's all just money that I'm moving around on Lofty. I've been selling other stuff. I've unstaked some of my USDC that was in liquidity pools, but these are two properties that I am still just committed to picking up more tokens in as I uh, prune the rest of my portfolio. I think they're both ones that are very undervalued. I mean, this one at $18. It, like I said, I mean, it's really hard not to just take new cash and put it on the platform. I just don't want to get more tied to a platform that is just really frustrating to a point where I don't know that it's worth it to even if I can make good returns, especially because it does take time, right? And what I was really looking for fractional real estate is stuff where I could take the time, find the deals, and then let my money work for me, right? I shouldn't have to the amount of time and energy and thought that goes into making money with a lot of these properties when the most I can have in it is 15% is it doesn't seem worth it a lot of times. So anyway, what I bought this week, this Raymond property, I do have a separate video. Actually, I think both of these I have separate videos about. Maybe the Odom Ave one. I mean, I have the old one when I first started buying it, but I've done a couple recent ones where I talk a little bit about it. But this one I know I did a full video. You can search that address. It explains why I'm buying this one. That hasn't changed. There is a tenant in it right now that we are, I believe, in the process of evicting. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's I think that this, again, this price is what makes this a very attractive deal. And, I think if we could get a tenant in there that is just stable and paying it, it would be a fantastic yielder once we got past our debt. And I think there's potential to turn it into a short-term rental. There's a very similar floor plan in the neighborhood that's a successful short-term rental. That was another thought I had. But really, if we just sold this one, we're getting such a huge pop in value relative to the token price. This is why this has been one where probably every week for months now I've bought more tokens in this one, and this is the one that I own the highest percentage of. I should have had my other page up, not this one, but I think I'm somewhere. I'm getting close to 10% of this one. Um, that's it for Lofty on ground floor. This is the same thing, right? I'm only reinvesting stuff that money that pays off. I'm not adding new money on here. Um, I want to test it for a little bit longer because if they go, if I start to add more money and then they go and pay it off again and I've got to pull it out, I don't really want to do that. So I just want to see, can I just over time stably reinvest what I have, let it grow where they're not doing one of these bulk repayments and then I just have to start over from scratch. It did take me a little while to find how to get to this, and it's so this is they upgraded the website or at least changed it. Maybe it's an upgrade. Um, but you have to. So if you're on this, this homepage, you just scroll down to your LROs here, and you can see I started almost a year ago now. Next month it'll be a year that I've been on here. $700 in earnings. I don't think I didn't have all of the money on right away. When was this? Is it? It's not going to tell me a date. That would be helpful if that actually told me a date. It took me a couple months before I had a lot of money on, and then I took some off. So I don't know that that's a really fair assessment of my total earnings on the platform, especially because there's interest that's been earned that hasn't been paid off. But for the ones that have paid off so far, my rate of return's been 11.5%. So I'm pretty happy with it. I am still, still have never had any defaults. I've had some extended, but they paid off. I'm starting to actually generate a good number of loans again. I got up to 96. Um, Over time, I'm hoping that that'll just keep growing. But so yeah, these five, uh, that I picked up some of this week. Nothing special about them. This is the platform. I'm really just trying to get as wide diversification as possible over time as I get some, experience with the info that they give us. Because like on these, they give us a grade, they give us, but sort of quite a few details as far as like the investor's skin in the game. I mean, this is not, you have to actually click on this here to see those investment details. Yeah, they give you the projected term, the ARV, the investor skin in the game. the amount of money that's basically, expected, basically their cushion or their margin for error. You get a little bit of info about the borrower. And so over time, if I start to have some that don't pay off, I'll try to get a little bit smarter about picking them. I know some people have had really bad luck on here where like a third of their loans or something seem to be defaulted, and I don't understand how I've had such a different experience. I think I've just was very lucky when I bought in. It was a good wave of loans, and then they did that repayment. And I had a couple deferred at that time. Let's see, closed projects. So I had, or extended is what they call it. And so I had several extended, but they all got paid off in that repayment. I kind of wonder if that was artificial and a lot of these were going to go into default, because what they repaid them, not the borrowers, but like ground floor repaid them to move that debt to some institutional lending thing that they were doing. I don't know. It still wasn't 100% clear to me, but um, anyway, those are the five I picked up on there. And that's really everything that I bought this week. I didn't buy anything on Mogul still. I I plan to put money into Gilmore. I'm just waiting until there's no reason to put it in early. We talked about this last week, right? And at the moment, I'm not worried about them selling out. So I'm just going to wait a few more days. When it gets close to selling out, I'm not going to like try to time it to the very end. But because of the time value of money, might as well just like invest as close to when it's going to start paying off as possible. I might even put a little bit more into the Hugo. This is the platform that I'm most excited about putting my money into, even though I have less money on here at the moment than I have on Lofty. It is one that I'm continuing to add. I'm not, I am reinvesting the rents as well, but it's much more. This is the one that I'm much more bullish on. Again, do your own due diligence, right? Just because I'm invested on here doesn't mean that you should. But the clubs have been great. The club rewards, have come in pretty regularly, just small amounts, but I thought that's works well. Um, but like, really the main reason has been, it is just, the deals have all been solid so far. And it's new, right? My first one I bought in December of last year, but every single one that's gone live has started paying right away. We haven't had any huge hiccups, and so as long I'm still going to take a measured approach and probably just put 1,000 or 2,500 bucks or not a ton of money into each one, but still, hopefully buying. You can see I've bought quite a few of the recent ones that they put up. Hopefully, I'll just continue to do that. Um, and then the other one I didn't buy on anything on, but I wanted to mention again is Saul's Lot. This is the other, so if I was going to tell you like the ones I actually want to put money to work on, Saul's Lot, as much as this is like, it is still very much a startup. Their site's a little bit wonky with the new site that they rolled out when you do the dashboard. And oh, they fixed this. They fixed this. Look at that. I complained about this like yesterday or the day before, and now they fixed it. Okay. And I was hopeful that they were going to fix it. They still don't have my my USDC showing up in here, and I wonder why that is. But I know it's in there. I checked in my actual wallet, and it's in there. So I don't know why it's not pulling through, but it shows me the properties that I have in here, and so that's fantastic. Um, they they're one of the earliest sites out of all of them, but they're one that I'm still excited to put some money in. So I just wanted to make sure that it's clear that when I'm doing these what I bought this week videos, just because most of my purchases are on Lofty, it really has nothing to do with me thinking this is, and I guess if I really thought about it, I would like just take the money off as I sell stuff but the thing is I don't need to take money off of here to put more onto ground floor or onto Mogul or onto Saul's Lot. I'm just putting it on there whenever it comes up from just outside capital. So I've just left what I have on Lofty on there and I'm just continuing to redeploy it. Same thing with ground floor because I'm hopeful for both, right? It's not like I've completely given up, but I just don't want to keep adding capital just to a platform that it's really tough to get out of Lofty. As much as they talk about, oh, well, you have instant liquidity, if I sold my portfolio today, I'd probably lose at least 50% of the value. And I wouldn't be able to sell everything because I have, tokens that are trapped in the liquidity pools anyway. So I'm not going to try to get off completely. And so I don't know. I'm sticking around. I go back and forth. I do want to put more money on for some of the really deep discounts. But I think for now I'm holding off. We'll see, especially because I don't know, but I'm not taking it off either. So I'm curious. Well, one, jump in the Discord, jump in the comments, let us know what you bought this week. But also, two, what are your feelings on all these platforms? Is there one that you're excitedly putting more money on? Are there some that you're just sort of kind of begrudgingly stuck in? I know there are other platforms too that people have money that's more stuck than Lofty, for example. But yeah, and I'm really curious, did anybody else that interacted with Jerry in the Discord today, did it make anybody feel better about their investment on Lofty? Um, or like does the I'm curious if it's just the way I take it, right? If or the like do I have too high of expectations of the way a business should be run, right? Like I it really just rubs me the wrong way the way uh, you know, if a business, when I make a mistake in my business, I want to apologize. I want to take full responsibility for it, not kind of explain away why it happened. And then if there's a way to fix it, I want to fix it right away. And I think he's dealing with some very difficult problems that maybe can't be fixed right away. Um, but at least say these are the steps we're taking to make sure it never happens again, right? Because there's certainly some things that could happen that that could be done differently than were done. And then say we're trying to resolve it, and then if we don't get the result we want, with this other party, this is what we're going to do for you anyway, right? Maybe there's that, right? And it doesn't sound like there's anything there. It's like, oh well, if we don't get it from Cal, well, you guys are out of luck, even though we definitely played a big role in that situation, right? That one, or like even some of the other ones too, right? Like the Austin situation as well. I think the with Brownfield and whatnot. I think um, their role in that I think was similar as far as I don't know. I just think there's when you have recurring issues on a platform, it is the platform has to take some responsibility for it, right? Like if every seller on eBay was a scammer and eBay didn't just give you a refund, nobody would be on there, right? And if they didn't do something to make sure that it was a very small percentage of the platform, not a third of the platform, that was affected. I don't know. Anyway, I know I rant about that constantly. I think that one, I wanted to make sure it's really clear that even though I'm buying on there, that doesn't mean like that I have that preference. But two, I got a little bit worked up on the other side of the keyboard going through some of those responses on in the Discord from Jerry today. I don't know. It doesn't. It just feels like whether or not investors make money is not a priority. And it's like if you're building a product that is intended to be an investment platform, I just don't see how that's not the priority, right? I don't know. Anyway, that's it for me for today. Until next time, gonna just keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.